And then also it says it helps parents feel good too. I'm like, maybe that's why I'm doing it. Because you look back and you're like, I'm a good parent. We did that fun thing.
I planned that.
Yeah, exactly. What is the perfect bite? That mix of flavors, textures, colors, and aromas that come together in one amazing amuse-bouche. Big ideas expressed in small bites. That's our podcast, a variety of inspiring topics to make your financial goals and dreams a reality.
Brought to you by Clark County Credit Union for your weekly serving of food reviews, financial education, and life hacks that your future self will appreciate. It's the perfect bite of interesting information to start your week. Welcome to episode 92 of The Perfect Bite. I'm Crystal Price.
And I'm Shannon Hiller. Let's dig in. We love trying new dishes here at The Perfect Bite, and Habaneros Tacos should be next on your must-try list. Next, we'll talk about how to live within your means, and finally, we'll share how printed photos positively affect your children. Each week on The Perfect Bite, we visit a locally owned Southern Nevada restaurant that we hope will become your new favorite. And this week we're sharing one that's near my house, and I found out actually has 10 locations around the valley, Habaneros Tacos. Oh. They started here in Las Vegas, and they've grown over the last 20 years, and so chances are there is one close to you if you haven't tried one. Have you?
I have not.
So it's kind of like, I guess Roberto's is like our go-to usually. So the menu is kind of like that. So just keep that in mind. But I went to the one on Centennial and Commerce, and they just have a huge menu plus specials. So it's a little overwhelming if you don't know what you want to get. This location has a drive-through as well, which is always a perk for me.
Yeah.
Like, I know when my kids were little, I was like, if it doesn't have a drive-through, I'm not going. I don't want to unload my kids. And now it's just easy for like, late night taco runs or whatever. Monday, they have a taco special for only $1.50.
Love it.
It's a hard shell beef taco. And I always think of Tuesdays for tacos, but they have a different special. I can't remember what it was now, but basically they're kind of like just a classic hard shell taco, but very like spicy and flavorful. Even my husband was like, these are actually really good. And it's just like the ground beef, lettuce, and cheese, which of course I didn't need the cheese, but yeah, I bought like 8 of them for my family. And like, when you go
$1.50.
When you go out to eat, it's like, oh my gosh, food is so expensive. So it's nice to know when there's a deal.
Yeah. I
also decided to try a special that day. It was a birria plate, huge portion. Like I ate maybe a third of it. It's beef birria and it has broth as well, but not like, sometimes you get it and it's like all broth. And this was just enough to maybe dip your tortilla, back in there. Covered in chopped white onions and cilantro. I got corn tortillas. You could have gotten flour, rice, and refried beans. And it was only $12. And I literally could have eaten another meal or two until my husband discovered it after his volleyball practice and ate it. So it would have been another meal for me. But Habaneros Tacos is just really a solid choice for a quick serve Mexican restaurant. I think they even have more choices than Roberto's. Honestly, they had a lot of those classics, roll tacos, different types of enchiladas, and they even had chili rellenos, things like that. Next time I go, I think I'll get the fajitas, one of my favorite dishes. And they also have shrimp diablo, which is a really spicy shrimp dish that my family likes a lot. So I think we'll try that next time. Next time you want a quick, affordable meal, check out Habaneros. If you have a recommendation for a restaurant or dish for us to try, please send us a message at ThePerfectBite@CCCULV.com. We're always open to new ideas. Up next, we're sharing tips on how to live within your means.
Living within your means is a basic financial principle that involves creating a balance between your income and expenses so that you can meet your financial responsibilities and maintain positive financial health. So, what it means to live within your means. Your means is your income, and living within that income can help put you in the best financial position to handle the unexpected. So to live within your means requires strategic planning, and here are some practical tips to help you live within your means. First thing is to understand your income. Knowing how much money you're earning gives you a clear picture of your financial capabilities. So you really need to look at your paycheck, look at the money that's coming in. Don't get that pay, spend it, really understand your taxes that are going out, what's going out for your federal, all that breakdown. Really understand all of that money that's going to your 401k, all of those disbursements. Really understand it. After that, then you can create a budget. A budget is your roadmap for your spending, helping you to avoid overspending. Same thing with your income. When you create your budget, you need to really look at every single thing that is going out per month, because otherwise you're just kind of blindly going through it.
I think it's so easy to overspend because like we've talked about in previous episodes, maybe you're getting your mortgage.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, this is how much it costs. And then you think of, wait, there's insurance, repairs, maintenance, garbage, all the utilities, like things that maybe you weren't paying for at your apartment that now you're paying for. So if you just look at that, oh, this is my car payment, this is my mortgage, it can be really misleading and easy to all of a sudden you're overspending.
Yeah.
And you didn't plan it because you just didn't look at all of the costs that are involved.
All of
Very
that
easy
stuff.
to do.
Your groceries, your Netflix, your, every single little thing. And it's really nice, or not nice, but it's really recommended to get like a spreadsheet, whether it's on your phone, it's on your computer, whatever it is, but map it out so you can see it in black and white, the money that's coming in and the money that's going out. And then also using your credit cards responsibly. So depending on your financial situation, only use credit cards for emergencies or planned purchases that you can pay off promptly. Don't use credit cards for a night out at the movies, use it for emergencies. This helps you to avoid relying on your credit cards for everyday purchases. If you're using your credit cards when you're going for your grocery shopping happens every, month, every week. Eventually, those bills are going to catch up to you. So
I think the only difference there is if you're actually like
in dire
strategically getting points.
Oh,
and so
yes.
you're like, I have the money, and I'm going to immediately pay it off. But I think that's like
yes,
next. Like you have to be very disciplined and ready. Like I've been, in places in my life where I knew I didn't have the money and I bought it anyway on the card. I think that's the difference. Is like, I'm now dipping. I'm like a loan. I'm basically taking out a loan for groceries. That shouldn't be.
I had a conversation with somebody recently. There was somebody that I knew who did do it very strategically. They paid all of their bills with credit cards because they had a plan. They knew that they had enough money in their income to pay those bills regularly. So they would pay everything with credit cards. They pay their power bill, their gas bill, their groceries, but they would pay everything off with their paycheck. They would earn those points. Then they would use those points for cash back or whatever it was. So it was getting like free money on top of, whatever it was, but it was very strategic.
Yeah, you gotta be disciplined.
Knowing, yes. So it wasn't just frivolously,
Right.
So you have to know what you're doing. Also, save for large purchases. So always practice mindful spending. Just because you have a credit card doesn't mean you should use it to pay for large purchases. For example, you can save $100 each month to purchase a $1,200 appliance. If you know already in advance that, let's just say at the end of the year, I'm going to want to buy a new refrigerator and it's going to cost $1,200. Just keep in mind, okay, I'm going to budget $100 every month. And by the end of the year, I'll have that money for that refrigerator. So just budget for it. Also, build for your emergency fund. Keep aside enough money to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This is a great way to start building your emergency fund and then build up. Start 1 month, then start 3 months, then start 6 months, and just expand on that. These things start in increments. This serves you as your safety net during emergencies. You never know what might happen. We all experienced the pandemic. Some of us were more prepared than others. So you never know what will happen. Find ways to boost your income. Getting a part-time job or freelance gig can help you pay off your existing debt, helping you pay them off quickly. We have some bonsai articles. There's some good examples on ways you can boost your income. You can also check back on some of our previous podcast episodes. We have some good examples on gig work that actually works. Now we're going to take a break and hear from our sponsor.
CCCU has a bonus for you. High five! It's 5% interest on a bonus checking account, only available at Clark County Credit Union. That's 5% on your money, and it's just one more benefit of membership at Clark County Credit Union. Isn't it time for you to join? Anyone can be a member, because if somebody's making money off your checking account, shouldn't it be you? Open a bonus checking account today and start earning your 5%, only at CCCU. Funds privately insured by American Share Insurance.
So we've talked in previous episodes about digital photos and how to keep them cleaned up on your phone or computer. And I know I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction seeing those memories pop up. Like I use Google Photos or Shutterfly or even Facebook. And it's like, oh, remember this from 12 years ago?
Yes.
And you're like, oh, my kids were young and they liked me. And they're so cute.
They're all smiling.
I know, we're all together. It's just this little happiness boost. So I also use a company, not a sponsor, called Chatbooks. And in the last episode, we talked about hobbies. And I mentioned that photography and like documenting is one of my hobbies. And what Chatbooks does is they link your Instagram or Facebook account, and then all the photos that you post, they automatically pull them into a printed book.
That is so cool.
And it's automatically done. I can go in and further edit if I want,
Okay.
take stuff out, or you can make them bigger or smaller. But basically, you have, I think it's 60 photos per book.
Okay.
And I can be like, oh, I'll add more. Maybe I don't want to post, 10 that day to Instagram, but I have other ones I want to add. Like I don't want to be obnoxious. So then I'll add more to the book. And then I can also do a custom book. So we go on a trip, I'll make a book, and they're just so easy. You just upload them and it's done. They're these really cute square books. I have over 80
Oh my gosh.
of these books.
Wow.
Yes. And so they're just a little photo history for my family. And my kids love to read them. They'll get them out every now and then, and they'll just go over them and, oh, remember that, or laugh. And it's sort of like, our generation maybe doesn't have as many photos because it wasn't as accessible. And I feel like I remember things almost because I have the photo.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But if I don't have a photo, my mind's just like a sieve. I don't remember anything. So Chatbooks decided to commission a survey or a study to see how printing photos out, not keeping them digitally, impacts families. So do you print out photos very often, Crystal, or are they mostly digital?
They're mostly digital, but we do have some printed.
Yeah, you said you have
select
your photo
printed.
wall. So.
Yeah, I do have my photo wall. So, we can't print out everything. So I try to swap out when I can.
Keep them updated.
Yeah, but I wish I could do it more often.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like that obnoxious thing too. I try not to be obnoxious with my kids. Like, what's mom doing?
Pop mamarazzi or whatever they call it. So Chatbooks, together with HP and with guidance from 2 university psychology professors, did this study that looked at how photos are a powerful way to strengthen family relationships. And, we already know we love photos, but this research, they talked to 16,000 families. And it revealed just a surprising range of benefits and explains why photos help us feel more connected. And so I just want to share a couple of the findings, and we can link back to this story. But basically, looking and talking about printed photos, it's an activity that strengthens feelings of connection and closeness for family. And also, it's stronger when they're printed than digital. And I was thinking about, why is that? And I think maybe because when it's printed, we're looking at it together.
Okay.
So like my kids, like when they're looking at the books, they'll be like, oh, come look at this. And they'll talk about it and they're remembering it together and they're sharing a story like, oh, I remember that or what happened. Instead of just, maybe me on my phone scrolling through alone and seeing it. The study said that 79% of people agreed that looking at printed photos tends to be a shared experience, and 2.5 times more people agree that looking at printed photos is better shared than looking at a digital photo. So I was like, okay, it's building connections. We're talking, we're making memories again, reliving those memories. The other cool thing I thought, they looked at how children feel about looking and talking about the printed photos, and 91% said their child loves looking at photos of themselves.
Yes.
I know for my photo wall, I am very aware of, I have 4 kids, and I will make sure there is the same number of photos as kids. Because I remember as a kid going, there's not as many. I'm the oldest. The baby gets the most, and kind of spoiled.
Where's my picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll do this little count. And then 78% of people said, my child likes to look at photos and talk about them together. And they also found in the survey that looking at photos of themselves increases self-esteem, an increased feeling of connection and place in the family, and an increase in creativity, imagination, and storytelling.
That is awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then also it says it helps parents feel good too. I'm like, maybe that's why I'm doing it, because you look back and you're like, I'm a good parent. We did that fun thing.
I planned that.
Yeah. Exactly. And so they asked parents kind of what emotional benefits they got from looking at printed photos, not just the kids. And some of the things, like people said, I feel more confident that I'm a good parent. I feel softer and more forgiving towards my children. And I feel more realized as a parent. And I do feel like just my 8-year-old turned 9 today. And I was looking through some of the old photos. And just even seeing photos of my older kids, younger, looking back, I'm like, oh, like I remember that. Like that's kind of how I remember them in my mind. And the whole feeling softer towards them, that's real. Because sometimes in the teenage years, it's hard. And you have to be like, okay, this was my baby.
Yeah.
Don't get upset.
Take me back.
Exactly. And so you're just reminiscing, you're talking, you're bringing this up with your kids, you're showing them the memories. There's also evidence that, parents looking back, like they're able to see positive benefits for their kids, such as improved language and memory skills, and also just knowledge of family history. Like if you're printing out older photos of your family and talking about maybe, relatives or I don't know, any kind of historical things, like where did they move from, or what was their family like when they were kids. Like my in-laws grew up in South Dakota on farms. And so a lot of their photos in their homes are of the farmhouse and the barn and things like that. And so that's like that sense of place, like this is where my people come from.
You could see that.
Exactly. And I just think that's really cool. So I think it's enough evidence. Print those photos out, don't leave them on your phone. There's so many other benefits in this study. And like I said, we'll link back to it, but I really encourage you to print out your photos, set them free from your phones or your computers.
We want to hear from you. Send us your financial questions or money topics that you'd like to learn more about, and don't forget any fun local food recommendations. Our email is ThePerfectBite@ccculv.com.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode, brought to you by Clark County Credit Union. For additional money management tips and financial calculators, check out our website at ccculv.org. Now that was The Perfect Bite.